court this morning. The case just ended in the nation's capital, Yaoundé. That was barely a few minutes ago. The case has been postponed to tomorrow, the 25th of May 2018. The defense lawyer, Barrister Emmanuel Sim, told the judge of the military tribunal to use her conscience and to be reasonable with the detainees of the Anglophone crisis. He said that Mancho, BBC and other detainees are not guilty of terrorism. They were simply fighting for a better future and urged the court not to put their future into jeopardy. Barrister Louisa, that is one of the defense lawyers of Mancho, BBC and other detainees of the Anglophone crisis, told the court to take into consideration their various social status. It was different turns by the various lawyers defending the detainees of the Anglophone crisis today in court. Tomorrow, the verdict is expected to be handed down by the military tribunal. It should be noted that the atmosphere was a tense one at the military tribunal in Yaoundé in the early hours of this morning. The case, as I indicated, has been adjourned to tomorrow. It took place in a very dark courtroom as a result of the absence of electricity.
I think I should speak in English.
Go on.
And then, what happened? When Agbobala, my colleague, and others got together and created a consortium with the teachers, what did you do? You took them and put them in prison. Not only that, so we became desperate. The English speaking people of this country became desperate. And on the 22nd of September, everybody came out to protest with peace plans. What did you do? You opened fire. That day, I don't know how many died. But the worst one was when they came out on the 1st of October, which is, it signifies two things: unification of this country and independence of the Southern Cameroon. They came out on that 1st of October. What did you do? You brought helicopter gunships, opened fire on young people who were harmless, killed so many young people. It was a day of massacre, both in Boya and in Bamenda and in other places. After that, nobody responded. Nobody in the Northwest and Southwest responded or tried to fight back. You kept killing until when they killed 5 gendarmes. I don't know where. That's when you thought that after having killed young people and buried in mass graves in Boya, I know where I know one mass grave in my 16. The time will come when they will dig that mass grave and see how many of young people are inside there. Now, that's when you started fighting and killing young people, getting into people's homes and breaking into people's homes and shooting young people in the feet and harming them. There are a lot of young people in the Northwest and Southwest who are now on wheelchairs, and there are some who are dead. There are some who cannot even get out of bed. They are still in the hospitals. When you, as a head of state, you are coming back from Abidjan, you came to the airport and declared war. When you declared war, the first thing you did is send a contingent of military to Manfé, thinking that they will just go and kill everybody in Manfé, and you have succeeded in quelling everything. To your greatest surprise, everybody was ready to defend himself. Can you now sit and talk about national unity? Look at what happened on 20th of May. You have enjoyed yourself for the 8 provinces. You were dancing up and down. Who danced in the Northwest and Southwest? Those who you saw marching sometimes in Boya or Limbe were those who were forced to go and march. They proved it's a school. The public works school in Boya. If a student does not go and march, they will dismiss him. It was published. You force some young people to march, but by and large, it was a total boycott. This is where we are. The whole world has been calling for inclusive dialogue. I hear Mr. Churuma and I hear everybody say, well, it has to be within the context of the Republican laws of Cameroon and so on and so forth. And you sit there, block your ears as if nothing is happening. Now the international community is reacting, and that's when everybody's panicking. I'm going to leave. We will live and see what happens. Because you think that you are in a world of your own. Some Cameroonians think that they are in a world of their own. They are not seeing the rest of the world. Nobody is an island. What have you done? Kill our people, burn villages. 73 villages have been burned down. The statistics are there. The United Nations has all those statistics. The CIA has been getting satellite pictures. Massacre, genocide taking place in the northwest and southwest. Let me finish. Let me finish. You can say no. If you want, I will leave this plateau.
No.
I will leave the plateau if you don't want me to talk. Because it is a question of life and death.
Barrister.
People are living in the forest.
Barrister.
People are living in the bushes.
Barrister.
And where are we today?
Maître.
Where are we?
Maître.
Where are we? Where is this country going to? You have done if this country was interested in listening to what the people of the Northwest and Southwest, lawyers and teachers were talking from the beginning,
Maître.
we will not be where we are.
Maître.
I'm finished.
C'est moi qui vous ai invité.
Oui.
Parce que j'ai toujours beaucoup de plaisir à écouter vos analyses.
Oui.
Et c'est pour ça que j'ai refait l'exercice ce soir. Je vous sais extrêmement
pertinent. C'est pas moi qui parle de génocide.
Non.
Allez lire.
Non.
Et tout le monde en parle.
Maître.
Y compris les francophones. Ce n'est pas moi seul.
Je vous ai invité parce que je vous sais pertinent.
Oui.
Hein? Donc je ne peux pas mettre des conditions pour vous faire partir du plateau si l'émission n'est pas terminée.
Voilà.
Donc on va terminer l'émission.
Merci.
Voilà. Robert Mouté-Ambassa, sur votre lecture.
Disons que ma lecture est celle que j'ai toujours faite depuis le début de cette crise. Hein. Vous savez, les problèmes, les événements, quand ils arrivent, si on ne les règle pas en temps réel, ça commence à traîner, ça commence à faire effet boule de neige, ça peut réveiller les cadavres et tout. Et plus ça part, plus ça se complique. Autant c'était très simple à résoudre au départ, autant aujourd'hui, c'est très compliqué. Très compliqué. Parce que vous savez, nos stratèges en place ont peut-être pas apprécié les choses comme il se devait. Vous savez, beaucoup ont réfléchi, problème Camerounais. C'est notre problème, on gère ça en interne et nous seuls, oubliant que le Cameroun fait partie du monde. Et dans le monde, il y a des grands enjeux. La sous-région Afrique centrale fait partie des grands enjeux du monde de demain. Et je crois que c'est pas pour rien que les Russes, les Américains et les autres se rient vers l'Afrique centrale. C'est pas au hasard, vers le golfe de Guinée. Donc je dis que cette situation aujourd'hui a atteint un niveau tel que je commence à être très inquiet pour mon pays. Parce que vous savez, je pense que la ligne rouge a été dépassée par les deux parties, que ce soit côté force des forces, que ce soit côté sécessionniste, ou on les appelle terroristes. Nous avons même dépassé la limite de rupture. Vous savez, en mécanique, quand vous avez dépassé la limite de rupture, ça veut dire que tout peut arriver.
L'accident est inévitable.
L'accident est inévitable, donc tout peut arriver. Donc moi je pense que ce que je constate au jour d'aujourd'hui, c'est que côté étatique, l'État, les forces de défense doivent gagner à tout prix, et à tous les prix d'ailleurs. Si l'État perd, ça veut dire qu'il n'y a plus d'État. D'autres régions vont commencer aussi à demander leur autonomie, et ainsi de suite, vous comprenez. L'État doit aller jusqu'au bout et doit gagner à tous les prix. Les socialistes aujourd'hui ont atteint un stade où ils n'ont plus rien à perdre. Ils sont prêts à bagarrer jusqu'au dernier homme. Parce qu'ils ont perdu parents, amis et autres. La guerre qui se fait aujourd'hui, je ne suis même pas sûr que les Ayoub Sissoukou maîtrisent encore tous les éléments sur le terrain. Parce que si même au départ, ils avaient des gens...
Ayoub Sissoukou est en prison.
Non, j'en viens. Tu as parlé, tu as laissé parler. Je sais qu'il est en prison. Je veux dire par là que, même s'il sort aujourd'hui, je ne suis pas sûr qu'il va pouvoir contrôler tous les groupes qui se sont déjà formés sur le terrain. Parce que des régions comme Nord-Est et Sud-Ouest, il y a des villes entières où les mototaximens ont disparu. Vous croyez qu'ils font quoi? Ils sont devenus tous des guerriers. Il ne faut pas croire, c'est de nouveaux métiers qui se sont créés. Ils rançonnent les gens dans les routes par-ci, par-là. Ils vivent de ça. Donc vous comprenez que c'est quelque chose qui est en train d'aller dans une situation où c'est celui qui va résister le plus, qui va gagner.
Avec la guerre d'usure.
Donc c'est une guerre d'usure. Et ça joue, c'est le pourrissement et l'usure. Et du coup, ça fait que cette situation commence déjà à gêner les intérêts qui ne sont plus camerounais, dont la communauté internationale. Et c'est la raison pour laquelle vous voyez des sorties comme celle de la communauté européenne, l'ambassadeur des États-Unis. Hein, les gens ont beau dire qu'ils s'immiscent dans les problèmes du Cameroun, c'est vrai, mais en même temps, le Cameroun fait partie du monde. Et ils ont leurs enjeux stratégiques par rapport au monde. Et le Cameroun fait partie, en fait, le Golfe de Guinée fait partie. Parce qu'un pays comme les États-Unis a prévu se ravitailler en pétrole à partir du Golfe de Guinée pour au moins 25%. Alors s'il y a des trous dans le Golfe, il ne peut plus atteindre ses objectifs. Donc ce n'est pas les objectifs camerounais, mais c'est les objectifs d'un pays puissant. Donc maintenant, moi je pense que la sortie de la communauté européenne...
On y arrive.
Ok.
On y arrive.
Donc disons que...
Circulation has returned to normal on the Babaju-Bamenda stretch of road in the northwest region of Cameroon that was impracticable throughout last night and the early hours of this morning as a result of the extreme bad state of the road. The Babaju-Bamenda stretch of road is one of the projects sponsored by the African Development Bank, and works were expected to be due by May 2019. Simanji Kangebre presents the picture in the following report.
We are some 8 kilometers to Matazim in the northwest region on the Babaju-Bamenda stretch of road. It was a nightmare for travelers heading to Bamenda from the different regions of the country because of the poor state of roads. Many road users were forced to spend several hours on a spot due to the slippery nature of the road, which is under construction. More than 300 cars were forced to temporarily stop while the mud was cleared from the road. This section of the road is part of the Babaju-Bamenda Highway, whose construction works were inaugurated last May 16, 2017 by the Public Works Minister Emmanuel Nganu Njumesi in Santa Subdivision. A year after, no changes on the road, which is getting worse. With the advent of the rainy season and the Anglophone crisis that has caused the closure of the Kumba road for users, many travelers will have to go through this ordeal to arrive Bamenda. This has been one of the major cries of the Anglophones. The project to reconstruct the Babaju-Bamenda Highway is jointly sponsored by Cameroon's government and the African Development Bank. The African Development Bank in August 2017 disbursed 188 billion francs CFA for the rehabilitation of the roads, with 120 billion francs CFA expected to be used for the bad section of roads of the Yaoundé-Babaju. But till date, the project that is expected to be handed to Cameroon by May 2019 is yet to advance.
And the exchange of views between the U.S. ambassador to Cameroon and the Biya regime started few days ago, and an end to it is still far-fetched. The outing yesterday of the Minister of Foreign Affairs has exposed the government at all fronts, especially with regards to the management of the current socio-political crisis rocking the two Anglophone regions of Cameroon. Details in the following report.
Oui, nous allons essayer de faire notre mieux pour accompagner le processus électoral, mais c'est comme je vous ai dit après.
It is not the first time that the Foreign Relations Ministry in Cameroon is lashing out at a U.S. diplomat who dared to bring to light some of the loopholes of the regime that has been in place for 35 years now. The previous falling out dates as far back as 1992, when the U.S. ambassador at the time accused the Paul Biya government of election rigging. The utterances of Peter Ballerin simply upholds a pledge he met in October 2017 in front of the Foreign Affairs Commission of the U.S. Senate to work with the government, the people of Cameroon and the international community to ensure hitch-free election. The presence of Peter Ballerin at the Unity Palace on the 17th of May was not a private visit. As a representation of Washington, D.C. to Cameroon, the ambassador was bearer of a message from the White House to the Unity Palace. Critics hold that the outing of the U.S. ambassador on President Paul Biya's political future was an advice and not an injunction, and for the regime to have reacted in this manner shows signs that leaving power is not immediate for the head of state. The U.S. ambassador to Cameroon is aware of the diplomatic norms in force. He is also cognizant of the rights of humanitarian interference in public international law, which gives the right to foreign countries and organizations to intervene in times of need. The outing of the Foreign Affairs Ministry in Cameroon simply exposed government's poor management of the current socio-political crisis in the northwest and the southwest regions, which has resulted to preoccupying refugee crisis, homelessness, targeted killings at the level of the international community. And with the escalation of the current unrest, there are signs that objective outings on the situation on the ground would be frequent in the coming days. An immediate end to this war of words between Cameroon and the United States of America is not yet certain. Inox Television. We begin right with the outing yesterday of the Foreign Affairs Minister in Cameroon. Observers and critics of the regime of President Paul Biya have concluded that Donald Trump's United States of America wants President Paul Biya out of the Unity Palace after the last release of the U.S. ambassador to the country. It has provoked a stiff reaction from the government of Cameroon via the Ministry of Foreign Relations, as I indicated, or Foreign Affairs rather, as I said just a few seconds ago. Let's have the details of that report with Babla Jonathan.
The United States ambassador to Cameroon, Peter Henry Ballerin, issued a release May 18, 2018 that sent shock waves through the spinal cord of the Yaoundé administration from top to bottom. It has provoked a counter-release from the Minister of External Relations, Lejeune Belambela, after he accused the Cameroonian army of targeted killings in the northwest and southwest regions and urged President Paul Biya to leave a historic legacy like South Africa's Nelson Mandela and United States George Washington. Ambassador Ballerin was summoned by the Minister of External Relations. This came after the press interpreted the words of the U.S. ambassador as asking President Paul Biya not to stand as candidate in the upcoming presidential election, but to quit power like the former South African and United States presidents cited above did. The release of Minister Belambela speaks government's disapproval of the ambassador's statement, which is said to have violated all diplomatic, civil and legal rules. Contrary to the allegations of misconduct contained in the release of the U.S. ambassador to Cameroon, government says despite deadly attacks on the army, the security and defense forces have been exercising their duties within the ambit of professional norms and international human rights laws in a bid to preserve lives, freedoms of citizens and their goods, and the peace, stability and territorial integrity of Cameroon. The External Relations Minister told Ambassador Ballerin that President Paul Biya is the custodian of Cameroon's stability and constitution. Ambassador Ballerin was also urged to respect Cameroonians' choice of their leaders, especially the head of state. The release of Minister Belambela reminds the ambassador on all that President Paul Biya does not maintain himself at the helm of the state by force, but by elections. U.S. Ambassador Peter Henry Ballerin left Cameroon for his country shortly after his meeting with the Minister of External Relations in Yaoundé.
About filth in the economic capital Douala that continues. Traders at Marché Double Bar in Bepanda here in the city are agitating over the failure by the government delegate to the Douala City Council and the company in charge of management of waste for not collecting mountains of garbage that continue to rise within the market. They say that it is having a huge impact on their day-to-day activities, as innocent as it tells us in this report.
This is Double Bal Market in Bepanda, Douala 5 municipality, colonized by heaps of garbage.
It's 2 weeks now since they threw the dead there. So many people around here, they are just bringing all dead, they are putting in there. Yesterday was not like this, but today is really unimaginable. It's too much.
Traders are now using nose marks to consolidate their business positions around the decayed heaps of rubbish that have created artificial mountains in the core of the market. These mountains of debts have slowed down business as traders cannot be located by their steady customers.
Our business is not going well because of the debt, because it is blocking too much customers from trespassing to come this way to buy. So I can say that this country, I don't even know where they are leading on.
Meat and juicy fruits like mangoes are visited and contaminated by houseflies.
It's even giving sick to so many people around here, and even us that we are selling here.
Circulation of vehicles, motorbikes and persons in and out of the market is not flexible. Blame suits of this phenomenon has been worn on some Douala 5 council personnel and residents who now use the market as their garbage dump sites.
Ce sont eux, les gens de la mairie, ce sont eux. J'ai poussé même l'autre là-bas jusqu'à ce qu'il est tombé.
On the part of the traders, some of them say they have never had plans of dumping dirt in this commercial area, but the worsening situation instigated them.
On va faire comment? C'était déjà plein ici.
Business persons at the Double market, in astonishment, draw the attention of the Douala City Council and the garbage collection company, Hisakam.